your positive imprint. Stories are everywhere. People and their positive action inspire positive achievements. Your PI could mean the world to you. Get ready for your positive imprint.
Hello there, I'm Catherine, your host of this variety show podcast. Your positive imprint is transforming how we live today for a more sustainable tomorrow through education and information. Your own positive actions inspire change. Follow me on Instagram, and brilliant, I'm updating my YouTube channel, Your Positive Imprint, and you can also follow me on Meta, formerly Facebook, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Check out my website, yourpositiveimprint.com, where you can learn more about the podcast and sign up for email updates. Thank you so much for listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Pandora, Amazon Music, well, your favorite podcast platform, and of course, an updated YouTube channel. Music by the legendary and talented Chris Knoll. chrisknoll.com, CHRISNOLE. Thank you again for listening and for your support of this podcast. Your Positive Imprint. What's your PI?
Imagine infinity.
Climate change, human-caused global warming, our planet in a state of urgency.
Who's liable for the cleanup caused by climate change?
Glastonbury Festival was held in the United Kingdom, a new laboratory stage that brought science to life. Climate change was among the topics that festival goers learned about through demonstrations, games, and music, including music from the Matt Palmer Band.
There is a song that was on that EP called The Flood, which is about sea level rise. I think it's a topic that in some places perhaps it's becoming better understood.
Professor Bindoff and his colleagues documented some of the first evidence of the high melt rates of the Antarctic ice sheet.
And that voyage was the first ever against the Antarctic continent in winter. That was 1998. That was the Australian icebreak. So we estimated that melt rate, and we came to understand how much was being lost by the ice sheet there in winter. So it's transferring mass in the Antarctic ice sheet itself into the oceans and causing sea level to go up.
Climate change is a massive shift of our planet. And our civilization is built on the climate we've had for thousands of years.
We also have natural changes that happen on the Earth.
I was lucky enough to live in the rainforest for 4 months, measuring the gases that the trees produce there because they affect the way clouds are created, and that affects the radiation balance, which affects climate change.
We need more of those things so that we can turn off the carbon-emitting, fossil-burning infrastructure that we currently rely on.
The ocean and the atmosphere system are very connected, and any changes that are experienced in the ocean will impact the atmosphere.
Global food security. Does it really exist?
The fire season this year has been an extraordinary wake-up call for Australia and the wildfires in the USA.
And we're not seeing major governmental direction towards a really different way of living on this planet so that we can stay within its resources.
Sorghum is an important crop with climate change.
A true climate change issue that's changing the weather, which changes the surf, which alters the beach erosion, which led to a multi-million-dollar home falling into the surf.
China knows it's got a big problem. They have a huge pollution problem. They know they have to shut down coal plants.
IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
IPCC was a vision, and that vision was an understanding that, so this was from measurements of atmospheric CO2, and at that moment there was a decision made, and it was in the time of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan,
I was lucky enough to be selected as a lead author on the IPCC 6th assessment report. They're important because they form the basis of the political negotiations around greenhouse gas emissions and trying to reduce those over time.
We're trying to provide farmers with tools to mitigate the impact of climate change because the changes are happening so rapidly.
You're looking at the world in a very tactile and tangible way.
The Europeans are taking climate change seriously. They're building most of the solar panels on the planet nowadays.
You need to work in harmony with your environment to have a strong society.
International governments get together and try to agree how they're going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and curb the worst effects of climate.
Kids can go out there and do mushroom studies and see how mushrooms are affected by climate change.
We also have observations from satellites, so we can see very good detail in how the surface of the ocean is changing through time.
These satellites are so accurate that they can measure a change in sea level of about 1 inch from 800 miles up.
And have themselves encouraged the acceleration of desertification, which has crippling effects on economy, which results in increased violence.
Humans here are actually going to have to get progressive, figure out how to be sustainable.
Collective working, I think, is really the future of everything that we do.
Germany has a per capita success story going on where about 53% of their total electric mix comes from renewables. We're testing the consciousness of our culture here, and whether or not people are good at complaining about climate change, are they going to open up their wallets and invest?
For governments to listen, they have to be told by the people that we need change. It seems a little bit insufficient to just keep doing this work, because it's really like monitoring the patient until he or she dies. It's not actually intervening to fix the problem and maybe save the life. And we don't think that the future of our children is as important as our right now. The world that they will live in is vastly different from the one that we've enjoyed.
It's about global food security on a planet where climate change is affecting food supplies.
Actually, this is no longer about individual action.
Kenyan farmers have planted maize, corn, but with climate change, the rains are less predictable.
It's no longer really a conversation about whether this is happening and whether it's human caused. It's human caused, it's happening. So the question now is, what are the solutions? How do we minimize our exposure to climate risk, which includes trying to coordinate to reduce greenhouse gas emissions?
It's all very well to have the science, but the science doesn't make any progress until actually society accepts it and acts on it.
The hard part about conservation is you have to be successful for eternity for it to matter at all. It only really matters if it works for everyone.
Climate Elvis. I started taking improv classes, and I did this because I wanted to be better at communicating about climate change and global warming. I play Elvis and I sing an Elvis song that I wrote the lyrics for as sort of a tribute to Jailhouse Rock. It's called The Climate Rock.
Oh, that's the climate you got, baby. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Oh yeah, thank you very much.
Your Positive Imprint is a free podcast. If you'd like to buy me a coffee to help fund the production of this podcast, here's how. Go to buymeacoffee.com/yourpositiveimprint, and any support you offer will be greatly valued. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to Your Positive Imprint. So try to change your perspective in order to understand the reality of others. And until next time, enjoy listening to over 200 episodes of Your Positive Imprint. Your Positive Imprint. What's your PI?